why CA was one of the choices as career for you.
And also what also happens is that you are a product of your environment.
Welcome to The Finance Story, a finance-focused leading digital media publication and career insight platform. They say that banking is a reflection of the economy of any country. And today we have with us a chartered accountant who is an expert in the banking space. Please help me welcome Aseem Dhru. Hello, Aseem sir. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm good.
Sir, before we delve deep into your career and your journey, just tell us a little bit about growing up and why CA was one of the choices as career for you.
Generally, what tends to happen is that most people are not very clear of what they would like to do in life, and do not necessarily have a passion or something that they are very clear about how things will end up. And the journey takes you where it takes you, and life has its own path in which you flow. So I was also one amongst those many that like me who were not so clear about what one wanted to do in life. And also what also happens is that you are a product of your environment. And at 1992 was when Dr. Manmohan Singh had begun the reforms in the economy. And if you go back before 92, there were no private sector jobs. So you either were as a government servant or you were self-employed, or you were working as in a private firm, not really a private sector, but in a private firm, you would be having a low paying job as a Munimji somewhere if you became a chartered accountant and joined them. So the evolution of jobs and of economy really started in 92. And I was at that point of time doing my CA. I finished my CA in 94. And as luck would have it, just about then, the financial sector that opened up. So from 1992 onwards, financial sector was the first sector that they started to open up. And in the 3-4 years to 95, a lot of these sectors matured. And 1995 was when banks were given license. Private sector banks were given license for the first time in 1995. At which batch banks like HDFC Bank, ICICI, IDBI, etc., Global Trust, etc., started to evolve. So having at that point of time, my first hope was to go to the US and do my MBA, but financial conditions did not allow that to happen. And then I did not know what else to do, because I was so focused on doing that. I did not know what else to do. And then at those days, if you are already into commerce and if you're not going outside India, then the options available to you basically was either you do an LLB or you do a CA. I'd already done my SW along with my graduation. So the option was to do a CA or a CS. And amongst that, a chartered accountant seemed a better option. So not that I chose it, and not that I have the natural material of being a chartered accountant. In fact, I call myself a Six Sigma error of the institute. So I entered the path by default. Because I did not have other choices at that point of time that I could exercise. So the beauty of things is that when I look back, I can say that being a CA was the best thing I did. I'm glad I did not do an MBA and I did my CA. The grounding in numbers, the grounding in law, the grounding in understanding how the unity between numbers and law, finance and economics, statistics and etc. work. And that has really helped me a lot in my career. But now when I look back, I say great decision taken. But honestly, it wasn't a decision. It was a default choice, which I wasn't too happy about when I started the course. So that's life for you. But personally, I've seen that chartered accountants tend to be a lot more detail oriented, tend to be a lot more in touch with numbers, in touch with ground realities, and more execution focused rather than certain other professions who are a little more. They may be better in presentation skills, etc., but they are a little more broader in strategy, but not so detail oriented in terms of execution. And in your career, especially in India, execution is where the real meat is, and you need to get that right. So when I look back, I think CA was a wonderful thing that happened to me by accident.
Do you think that the first job that you took after qualifying changed your thought process, or was it something that happened over the years?
So it's very interesting that 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 you don't know exactly at what point what really influenced. So every experience that you have in life creates a dot, and somewhere the dots connect. I joined Anagram Finance, which was the first company that I joined, which later on got acquired by HDFC Bank. So I joined Anagram Finance, and I had a lovely stint with them for about a year and a half. And then I moved to HDFC Bank, where the real learnings of the Charteredaccountant Institute and everything that I went through really got distilled. But everything that stint in Anagram helped understand the corporate world and its requirements. Everything, I think, adds up to the total.
You started with Anagram, which was your portfolio at that time was wealth management, and then you moved into the lending space. Did you have the clarity of what path you wanted to pave for yourself in future, or it was just a further dot that you were trying to connect?
So see, what happens is that at a certain age in life, when you are in your early 20s, you are a mixture of hopes, dreams, ambition, fear, worry, and worry. So while some people are very clear that they want to do investment banking, they want to do wealth management, or they want to do banking or broking or some particular activity. At that point of time, all I wanted was to get into a good organization where I can take root, learn something, and hopefully grow along the way. Because personally, I believe that you can either choose to be a banyan tree or you can choose to be a bonsai. And one of the ways you grow a bonsai, is by not allowing the roots to go in too deep. And when you move something from a pot to another pot to another pot, you create a bonsai. You don't create a banyan tree. So banyan tree needs to be rooted in one particular soil, face the weather over the years, and ensure that it gets the strength to grow. So I was clear that I wanted to find a place where I can grow roots, and then grow stems, and hopefully grow for a long period of time. So it was an accidental. So my whole career has been a story of accidents. I did not intend to do a CA, but I did. I did not intend to join Anagram, and that's another story, but I did. I accidentally had gone to HDFC Bank for some other meeting, and I got an offer to join the bank. That was another accident. So I think accidents are a great way to live life by.
Why did you choose HDFC? Why not say Citibank or a foreign bank? Considering back then when people wanted to be a part of foreign banks, and you especially wanted to go abroad and pursue your studies, so that would have been an easier transition for you. So did you not, in-depth analysis was there, or it was just an offer that you grabbed?
When I finished my CA, I got 2 job interviews, one in Greenlace Bank and one in Citibank. And both were in Bombay. I was then based in Ahmedabad. And as luck would have it, both the interviews were on the same day. And so I had to fly to Ahmedabad. They were giving the flight tickets, and I would fly to Ahmedabad, to Bombay, get interviewed, and fly back. There was a problem that both were on the same day. So I would miss out on 2 flights. And I'd never sat in a flight before. So I was very excited, but very disappointed that I would miss out on 1 extra flight. So I rescheduled the Greenlace interview to be on a Tuesday instead of a Monday. I interviewed at both the places, and both the offers that I got were for the finance department. And I was clear that I did not want to be a bean counter. I did not want to count the money other people make. I wanted to be somewhere where I make the money. And I did not know what was that. So the Citibank guy asked me, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to do treasury, because treasury appeared very cool. It appeared to be a nice thing, to happen. And I got interviewed by Treasury, and obviously I flunked the interview with flying colors because I did not even know what a government security is and how does the interest rate market work. But Citibank, HR convinced me to join the finance department, and I refused. So I refused both the offers, and I did not have a job when I went back to Ahmedabad. So then anagram came along, and I took it because I'd already said no to two things before, and then I got into whatever I could get into so that life can begin. So similarly, HDFC Bank was not something I was looking out for. It just happened. I had gone. I was then we were launching a mutual fund called Anagram Wellington Mutual Fund, and I had gone to HDFC Bank to give them a presentation that bank should be selling mutual funds. And coincidentally, during the discussion, the man made an offer to me saying, "Why don't you join HDFC Bank?" And I said, "Okay, well, I know HDFC is a great name. Bank wasn't then well known, but HDFC is a great name, and it may be a good idea to switch into banking." And my dad was a banker. He was Bank of Baroda, so he was very happy that in his eyes, bankers were really respectable people. So I thought, okay, at least I'll make him happy by joining a bank rather than a private company. So that's how HDFC Bank happened. Now, that's the beauty. You look back and say it was a great decision, but it's just luck that plays out in its own ways.
Your growth at HDFC was stupendous. Can you share a little bit on how did you grow within the organization? How did the roots of your banyan tree of a career start spreading?
Those days, the bank had a very, very small, flat structure. The bank started in 95, I joined in 97. At that point of time, the bank was only supposed to be a banker to top 100 corporates. So I was the first retail asset employee of the bank. And I was tasked to launch retail assets for the bank in 97. And I realized that I had got an opportunity of a lifetime. Who will trust a 26-year-old kid to launch retail assets for a bank? So I knew that I had got something way beyond what my capabilities were. And then the choice was that if I mess it up, then I would curse myself for life. But if I'm able to pull it off, then I'm on a rocket ship to the moon. So when sometimes you get more than what you are capable of, that forces you to raise your bar and push yourself to the limit. So those days, it was a very flat structure. I joined the bank as an officer, which was the lowest grade the bank had. Then after officer came manager. Then there was AVP and VP. And then there was the MD. So that was the bank at that point of time. And when I joined, I realized that if I'm able to do justice to the portfolios that I'm launching, the bank as it grows, I will have opportunities to grow. So I was not thinking too much of career and of long-term stuff. I just focused myself to say that, can I do this job well? Whatever has been given to me, can I do this job well? And those days, were early days of the bank. So launching retail assets, was a wonderful experience. And I lived, breathed, ate, slept in the bank, because it was an opportunity that was way beyond what my caliber was at that point in time. And the beauty was that not a single foreign banker was ready to join us, because they said, HDFC Bank, who? We are with big foreign banks, and we are not interested in joining the bank. So the team that I had to build, I had to be unconventional in building the team. So I hired people who were selling photocopiers, people who were medical representatives, and trained them into banking. So we got people who were good at sales, people who were going home to home and selling washing machines and vacuum cleaners. So we got these kind of people initially in the bank and trained them into banking and launched retail assets. So and then one thing led to the other. The good part of the bank was that there was an amazing CEO, and Mr. Puri, who could see the future. He could not only predict the future, but he could see the future with great certainty, and he told you what to do and what not to do. And not just him, but the bank had extremely and as you know, Mr. Puri is also a chartered accountant. Mr. Deepak Parekh is a chartered accountant. So at that point in time, it was interesting that HDFC was a group of CAs. KK Mr. is a chartered accountant, and then ICICI then was a group of MBAs. And then what happened was that I was always I realized that I enjoy building businesses. I don't like to run large setups. Because there are some people, every job when it becomes large, it becomes administrative. And for me, the thrill is in building something, in creating something. and not in running large setups. So one of the things that I enjoyed doing was building new businesses in the bank. So every time something new came up in the lending space, Mr. Puri was kind enough to say, "Why now? Why don't you launch this? Why don't you launch that?" So I got an ability to build various businesses in the bank. Whether it was business banking, which was the SME business vertical, commercial vehicles, construction equipment, healthcare, agriculture finance, home loans. I could build and scale various businesses within the bank, which were very different from each other. I ran the ATM network of the bank for a while. So one of the things is that it was nice to test myself in different environments. And when HDB was being started, the bank's NBFC, I got an opportunity to be the founder director of HDB, it was fun building out HDB at the initial stages. And I got to run HDFC Securities for a while as the managing director. So it was a wonderful 20 years. I don't know where time went. I was having a grand time. I was having a gala party, and 20 years went by. And along the year, when you learn archery from Dronacharya, how wrong can it be?
Your career was scaling with a very high speed at HDFC. Did you have a lot of offers coming your way, and were you considering any of those?
So I used to always firmly believe that good work is like incense. Even if you burn under a table, people will come searching from where the fragrance is coming from. So if one focuses on doing outstanding work, that is bound to follow. And if people come looking for you, then you're doing something right. If you have to go out and look for things, then you aren't doing something right. And if nobody's looking for you yet, then you need to just work harder until they come looking for you. But they will come looking for you if you make it worth their while. So that's something that I was always very passionately believed in. And yes, when you are working with a very successful bank like HDFC Bank, and you rise up the ladder over there are people who notice you over the years. They may either some of them may personally know you, some of them may have heard of you, or some of them just because you are in HDFC Bank, they may think that you will be good. So some of the offers you get, it's also because of where you happen to be. So yes, there you over a period of time, everyone in HDFC Bank got chased. Everyone in HDFC Bank had multiple options or offers that came along the way. But the beauty was that what we were gaining at the bank and what we were building at the bank did not allow most of us to even consider some of those options. So if you're having a great time doing what you're doing, if the bank is taking great care of you, and the stock options ensure that the markets took great care of you in terms of financing. So all in all, there was no reason to explore something outside. But yes, they did. Things did come knocking often again beyond what one would be capable of, just because you happen to be in a bank which is extremely successful.
You were at the peak of senior position at HDFC, and you had been a part of this organization for almost 2 decades. Why did then the idea come about, and why did you start up, in your mid 40s? I mean, there were so many risk factors that are going to be playing a role here.
The thought of doing something, of starting something, was somewhere always there, somewhere at the back of the mind. But there was one conversation that I had, with Mr. Parekh by chance, was where he said something about how does one contribute back to the nation. And one of the discussion then was CSR and what we can do and the benefit that we give out because of loans we do, etc. as a bank. And he said something very interesting, that what the country really needs is jobs, and what people really need to do, people like us, should be to create jobs. And if people who can create jobs are in a job themselves, they are doing the nation a disservice. So somewhere at that thought state, that what if one had an opportunity to create jobs, and contribute back to society, because I was a lucky recipient of jobs at HDFC Bank, and a lucky recipient of the financial benefits and the growth that followed because the bank did well. And maybe it is worth the while to try and create another institution to the best of my capabilities, which can also build value to other people over a long period of time. And somewhere I think all of us know that our life on this planet is finite, and time is not on our side. And we somewhere there is this desire to create something that you leave behind, something a little larger than yourself. And I was very motivated by the stories of H.T. Parekh. A lot of your readers may not know that H.T. Parekh actually was the chairman of ICICI Limited. And when he retired as a chairman of ICICI Limited, he started HDFC after retiring from ICICI. And at the age of 65, he started HDFC Limited. And it has gone on to become what it has gone on to become. So stories like these, lives of people like these are kind of North Stars that you wish to emulate your life by. And the attempt and the thought is that there is always a risk in life with everything that you do, but sometimes not taking a risk is the biggest risk you take.
When you started SBFC, what was the thought process? Can you take us through the types of decision you had to make, because you were building an entire new organization? This is not a product that you were creating for your bank. You were creating essentially another bank for people.
So we were clear that we are starting SBFC because we want to build an institution. We are not building a company, we're not building a business, but we are building an institution. And an institution, when you are thinking of building an institution, then things like governance, things like standards, processes, not depending on people, but depending more on processes, getting the right technology in place, getting the right unit economics in place, getting the right business model in place. All of these things then become the founding block of what you are doing. So first, I think it starts with purpose, and anybody starting a business must be very clear why they are starting the business, what is that they are building. The second answer, from there will come that, okay, to achieve this, what are the building blocks that one needs to do? Now, as an NBFC, you realize that your tambu, is standing on 3 bamboos. So there is a cost of fund, there is a cost of operations, and there is cost of credit. And you need to make a business model where all these 3 are beautifully contained there. Because a lending business is not about lending. It is about costs. It is about cost, including the collection cost of the business. So you approach it to ensure that you build a model where you get all of this right. So the most important thing is who is going to be your investors, what kind of an investment do you need, what kind of a strength you want on your balance sheet to start with, and then what kind of a team you want to have with you, because ultimately this is a team game. It is not an individual sport. On my own, I can achieve nothing. It is important to have people along the way who are each doing their part for the organization to build. So today we are 2,500 strong team, and each individual in this team is handpicked, because we have worked with him somewhere, or we have admired him as a competitor. We have seen that there is a match of culture, there is a match of understanding of what we are doing, and then putting it together. So the decision-making tree is complex. Retail is all about detail. There isn't one thing you have to get it right to build a good retail business. There are a million things you need to get right at all points of time. And the core of the lending business, is to be less stupid than the others. You will be stupid. You will make mistakes, but don't make a mistake that will blow the firm. And recognize your mistakes early and fix them.
So how do you think that running a NBFC business was different from starting one?
Building a business, and running a business on a daily basis is a very different challenge. Because in a startup you can change your assumption, you can, but you cannot change the reality of a business running on the ground. So you have to face what comes your way. The difficulty of any business is that there is no dearth of challenges that come your way. And as a CEO, you only get problems. You are supposed to solve problems. So you don't get good news just comes as a buy. People will come and very happily tell you the good news, but the bad news may not really even reach you. So you will have to go out and find out the bad news that's happening around you, and solve the hard problems yourself. So on a daily basis, you will have accidents and breakages. Somewhere the technology failed to deliver what it was supposed to deliver. A project is running way behind schedule in terms of a new technology that you are trying to add on. Somewhere an operating process has failed. Somewhere people there are issues at levels of people. Somewhere somebody is not happy with some increment or some bonus he's got versus somebody else or something else that they expected. So in reality, there are ego issues between people. There are tough issues. There are so many issues. People have their own expectations of their own growth, their own career expectations. People sometimes don't get along with each other. So when you have a large setup, but to ensure that everybody walks in the same direction at the same speed, and with the same level of joy, is more an art than a science. So while you may have various theories of leadership that you can talk of, the reality is that none of these theories work when it comes to meeting situations on the ground that you keep facing on a daily basis.
Tell us something about SBFC for all our viewers in a very simplified manner. What does it do exactly?
So the whole concept of SBFC is that it's a small business finance company. We are focused on financing small businesses in small towns. So we are there in 16 states. We've got 135 branches in these 16 states. We are in over 100 towns in these states, and we are now going to get deeper into every district in these particular states. So India, as you know, is a land of small businesses. There are over 64 million small businesses. These businesses are either financed by trade finance or they're financed by unorganized market borrowings that the promoters do in their own personal capacity at usurious rates of interest. And somewhere, one thought that this is a problem worth solving.
Most people today are looking at fintech, from e-payments to opening bank and crypto asset exchanges. Fintech companies are launching every second day. So would you advise bankers and other finance guys to take a leap in this direction? If yes, why? And if no, why?
In today's environment, nobody can be a Luddite and deny technology and what it can do. So technology is exciting, and one has to be on top of all technology development that is happening around us, and also make use of the new technology that is coming to us. However, what has happened is that a lot of people got excited only by the technology and forgot the basics of that business. Just because you understand, it is like this, that Boeing understands how to manufacture a plane. It understands the technology of running a plane, of making a plane, but it doesn't run an airline. Just because it can make a plane, it doesn't start running an airline. Because it knows that their expertise is to make a plane. To be a commercial airline requires very different kind of skill sets. So, for example, if I'm good at technology, I can make a very good fintech model. But just because I can make a good fintech model doesn't give me an automatic license to lend, because lending is another skill which has nothing to do with technology. That is another skill altogether. If you have the skill of lending and you also have the skill of technology, you can build a great product. But if you just have the skill of lending, of technology, that doesn't automatically allow you to make a great product. Because the reason is this, that technology, what does it do? In the end, it just allows you to do whatever you are doing a little faster, better, seamless, and give a better user experience to the customer. But at the end of the day, this is not a somebody orders a soap and I send it home in 5 minutes. He's paid for it, I send it home in 5 minutes. This is not that business. I can deliver a loan in 5 minutes, but how am I going to recover that loan? That is something that has to be thought through. So one is that bankers or anybody coming into fintechs have to be very clear that they understand what they are doing and they understand the business, not just the technology behind it. Some of the new technologies like crypto, etc., one has to be a little careful that, look at the history. There have been several things. Blockchain has been something that is being talked about since the last 15 years, and nothing much has really happened out of it. So let's be real.
Has there been any challenges in your journey, or it's been smooth? And how did you overcome them?
So everything, to have a cool temperament, when you are posed with a challenge, and to have your intellect around you to say, okay, now we need to find a way. So every day, you need to solve a particular problem. The environment that we work in, sometimes there will be changes that happen in the regulatory environment. Sometimes there are changes that come to you from your audit, chartered accountants. Somewhere, there is certain changes and certain demands that will come to you from investors. Somewhere your portfolio is posing its challenge. So at all points of time, there will be challenges where you if you think about it too much, you will lose your sleep. So the way I found very effective is to treat the whole thing as a game. That you are here to play a game. You play the game to the best of your ability, and then leave whatever happens to God. Because there is anyway you don't control the outcome. All you control is the process, and give the process the best you have. Outcome you don't control, and also don't fret about what you cannot control, because none of us can control it. So pressure, expectations, are all real. And as you play the game at a higher and higher level, pressure and expectations will keep growing. And you have to grow yourself, because pressures and expectations are never going to.